What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and in today's video I want to take a look at what I consider a controversial trade proposal. So The Athletic put out this trade proposal for the New York Jets, and I wanted to talk through it. So there's some questions whether or not Davante Adams will return to the New York Jets in 2025. Also, as you might be able to tell by the thumbnail, Kupp is going to be traded by the Los Angeles Rams this year. And the trade proposal that The Athletic came up with was that the New York Jets could trade Davante Adams and a 5th-round pick for Kupp and a 4th-round pick. Here was Zach Rosenblatt's explanation. A trade of convenience. Assuming Aaron Rodgers doesn't return to the Jets, Adams won't either. And as long as Adams would be open to going to the Rams, this could work out for both sides. Now, with all due respect to Zach, I don't have anything against him. I think he does a fine job. I just don't agree with this trade proposal that he came up with. I don't think it makes sense for the New York Jets. And sure, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, the likelihood of moving on from Davante Adams is probably pretty high. But I just don't think the Jets going after Kupp makes a whole lot of sense. And sure, he was awesome in 2021. He was unbelievable, had a great season. And I'm sure Dalvin Cook Twitter is going to be all over this. But over the last 3 years, he's only played 9, 12, and 12 games, which means he's missed 5+ games for each of the last 3 seasons. His best year in that span came in the year where he played only 9 games. He had 812 yards in those games, and that was when he was 29 years old. That's 3 years ago now. He's going to turn 32 years old in June, and I just don't think if you're moving on from Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, like, that's the part of the equation of this trade. So that's the context that I think we need to talk about this. I don't think it makes sense for the Jets to be going after a 32-year-old wide receiver who's clearly on the decline. He hasn't been as productive as what Davante Adams has been over the last few years. Davante was significantly better production-wise for the Jets last year, and even with the Raiders the last couple of years. And he's significantly more durable. Over the last 3 years, Davante Adams has played a lot more games than what we've seen from Kupp. And that's not taking anything away from Kupp's NFL career. He was really good for the Rams for a long time. Unfortunately, when you get into your late 20s and early 30s at this position, oftentimes that's when the injuries come in and you start to see the decline. And that's what's happened. He's been at around 700 receiving yards the last 2 years. And just from a scheme perspective too, he plays primarily in the slot, which I don't think that's the kind of receiver the Jets need to go after. I think they're likely going to need an outside receiver, assuming if you're losing Davante Adams and Allen Lazard, you need probably 2 more receivers, and whether that's one in the draft and one in free agency or however you want to go about it. I think what they need to complement Garrett Wilson is more of your prototypical X receiver, not another guy who's going to play in the slot and take slot reps away from Garrett Wilson. I just don't think it makes sense. Kupp's a big name though, and he's going to get talked about, and he has that name recognition, which is why I think you will see some Jets fans go and be excited about it. I would really have a lot of pause on trying to acquire a guy like Kupp. I made the comparison to Dalvin Cook, and now Dalvin was younger, but running backs don't usually tend to last as long as wide receivers. We've talked about and batted around the idea of different wide receivers for the New York Jets over the years. Odell Beckham's a name that feels like has gotten brought up the last 2 or 3 years. He hasn't been very productive in any of his stops over the last few years. I remember Julio Jones, when he was ending up in Tennessee, was another name that Jet fans really wanted. But again, he was very clearly on the back 9. Now, maybe the only one that has been good since getting moved is DeAndre Hopkins. I think you can make the case that he has still been productive. Hell, even Davante Adams, since being traded, has still been productive into his 30s with both the Raiders and the New York Jets. So that's an exception to the rule. But if the Jets are going to be going younger and using 2025, considering no Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams as more of a transition year, I don't exactly get the point of adding a 32-year-old wide receiver, but we'll hear from you. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is this something that you would consider? Do you want to trade Davante Adams? Do you want to acquire Kupp? Let me know down below in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you next time.